Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Art History Fun with Dr. Brian. I'm Brian Zygmunt, professor of art history at Mount St. Mary's University, and today we're going to spend a little bit of quality time with Bernini's masterpiece from 1623, the David. But before we do so, I'd like maybe to begin with a discussion of two previous Davids. The depiction of this biblical David from the book of Samuel becomes very common during the Renaissance and into the Baroque period. And Donatello and Michelangelo also had their cut at things. And so let's look at both of those. This is Donatello's David from the middle third of the 15th century, part of the early Italian Renaissance. This David, cast from bronze, has been shown after the battle. David is standing on the head of Goliath. And he's also been shown nude, wearing boots and a hat, and with the body of a biblically accurate pre-adolescent boy. In contrast to that, Michelangelo's David, done during the opening years of the 16th century and part of the high Italian Renaissance, is enormous, 17 feet tall, and he's been shown with the most idealized body in the history of Western sculpture. Moreover, he's been shown before the battle. Note the look of anticipation and anger on his face. And he's also holding the rocks that are going to fall Goliath. Now, both of these objects, I would suggest to you, have an ideal viewing angle. That is, you're supposed to look at them from the front. But if we turn our attention now back to Bernini's David, we can see how things have changed during the Baroque time frame. There's no real ideal viewing angle for this. As a matter of fact, you're meant to walk around this, and as you do so, the way David looks certainly changes. Rather than an adolescent boy or an idealized figure, Bernini has given us something more naturalistic for an adult male. And rather than after or before, Bernini's David has been shown in the act of fighting Goliath. His body's been wound up with this kind of kinetic energy. You can see that the slingshot is taut. And one of the characteristics of Baroque sculpture is this idea of motion in the passage of time. You get the idea that this David will look differently a split second from now because he's been bound up with this kind of inherent energy. The David for Michelangelo and the David for Donatello are a bit more static. I'm not saying they're bad, they're fantastic, but they don't have this anticipated motion that is very much a part of the Bernini. The Bernini is one of 4 magnificent statues in the Borghese Gallery, which makes a trip to that museum a complete Bernini fest. In consecutive rooms, you have 3 of my favorite works ever. First the David, then the Apollo and Daphne, and then finally the Rape of Persephone. And if you're looking for a little bit of humility in your day, how about this fun fact? Bernini did this work when he was 24 years old. It's absolutely staggering. I appreciate you sticking around. If you have any requests, please note them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.